48 years old. 20 years of marriage. 2 kids, a house, a life that looked perfect from the outside. And every single day for 2 decades, I woke up feeling like I was disappearing. Not because I chose the wrong person, because I followed every piece of advice that everyone around me said was right. And the advice that was supposed to save my marriage was the thing quietly destroying it. Thomas grew up in a small town in Indiana. His parents were married for 41 years. Not happily, but married. And in his family, in his church, in his community, those 2 things were treated as the same. The rules about marriage were never written down. They didn't need to be. They were in every conversation, every family dinner, every offhand comment from an uncle or a neighbor or a pastor. When you find someone good enough, you commit. You don't wait for perfect. Love is a choice, not a feeling. Feelings come and go. Real men don't walk away from their families. Think about the children.
They need a stable home. Every marriage has hard times. You push through. Thomas heard these things so many times from so many people he respected that they stopped sounding like opinions. They started sounding like facts, like gravity, like something you didn't question. You just obeyed. At 26, he met Claire at a work conference. She was smart, ambitious, funny in short bursts. They had chemistry, the kind that felt like enough when you were 26 and everyone around you was getting married and you didn't want to be the last one left. 6 months later, his mother asked when he was going to propose. His father told him Claire was a good woman and he shouldn't wait too long. His friends were already buying houses and having kids. He proposed at 27, not because he was certain, because he was afraid of what it meant if he wasn't. The first year was fine, busy enough that the gaps didn't show. New apartment, new routines, the comfortable machinery of a shared life.
By year 3, Thomas knew something was wrong. Not dramatically wrong, no fights, no betrayals, no obvious fractures, just a quiet, persistent wrongness. Like wearing shoes that were almost the right size. Every day, a little friction. Every year, a little more damage. He tried to talk to his father. "Son, every marriage feels like that in the early years. Give it time. It gets better." He tried to talk to his pastor. "Thomas, marriage is a covenant. Feelings are temporary. Commitment is permanent. Pray together, serve each other. The feelings will follow." He tried to talk to his older brother. "Man, you've got a good wife, a good job, a good life. What more do you want? Don't blow it up because you're not happy enough. Nobody's happy enough." So Thomas did what all of them told him to do. He stayed. He committed harder. He prayed more. He served more. He pushed the discomfort down and told himself it would pass. It didn't pass. It calcified. By year 7, they had their first child, Emma. By year 10, their second, Daniel. And with each child came a new layer of the same advice. You can't leave now. The kids need a father at home. Children of divorce suffer. You know the statistics. Whatever you're feeling, it's not worth what it would do to them. So he stayed. He stayed through years of parallel lives lived in the same house. He stayed through dinners where nobody spoke about anything real. He stayed through a marriage that had become a performance. 2 people playing the roles of husband and wife for an audience that had stopped watching years ago. By year 15, Thomas had stopped sleeping well. He developed anxiety that his doctor attributed to work stress. He started drinking more than he should. He gained weight. He felt, for the first time in his adult life, genuinely invisible. Not to the world, but to himself. He was disappearing inside his own life. And every time he thought about leaving, someone's voice came back. The kids, the commitment. Real men don't walk away. Thomas wasn't the only one living this story. Karen was 44.
She had stayed in a loveless marriage for 16 years because her mother told her divorce was shameful and her church told her it was sinful. At 44, she was prescribed antidepressants for the third time. Her therapist told her the depression was situational. Her pastor told her to pray harder. She was still in the marriage. She was still depressed. Richard was 52. He had known on his wedding day, genuinely known, standing at the altar, that he was making a mistake. But everyone was there. The dress had been bought, the hall had been booked, and the pressure of that room, of all those people who had travelled and prepared and expected, was heavier than his own voice. He said, "I do." He spent 24 years paying for it. 3 people. 3 different families.
3 communities with 3 different words for the same pressure. Commitment, covenant, loyalty, sacrifice, family values. All of them meaning the same thing. Your happiness is less important than appearances. Fact 1. The research on children and divorce is more nuanced than the advice suggests. Studies consistently show that it is not divorce itself that damages children. It is ongoing conflict. Children raised in high-conflict intact marriages show worse long-term outcomes, higher rates of anxiety, depression, and relationship dysfunction than children of divorced parents who co-parent with low conflict. The advice, "stay together for the kids," was never based on what was actually good for the kids. It was based on appearances. Fact 2. Love is a choice, not a feeling, is a half-truth that became a weapon. Yes, long-term love requires action and commitment. But when that phrase is used to tell someone to ignore chronic incompatibility, persistent unhappiness, and the absence of genuine connection, it stops being wisdom and becomes a tool for suppression. Feeling nothing for your partner is not a spiritual failure. It is information. Fact 3. The stigma around divorce was deliberately maintained by institutions with something to lose. Churches lose members when families dissolve. Communities lose social cohesion. Families lose the narrative they built around a couple. The advice to push through was never purely about your well-being. It was about protecting the comfort of the people giving the advice. Fact 4. Staying in an unhappy marriage has measurable physical health consequences. Long-term marital dissatisfaction is associated with elevated cortisol levels, suppressed immune function, higher rates of cardiovascular disease, and significantly higher rates of clinical depression. Thomas's anxiety, his insomnia, his weight gain, these were not signs of weakness. They were his body's response to 2 decades of chronic stress. Fact 5. The concept of working on your marriage was sold without a definition of what success looks like, or when it is acceptable to stop. Couples therapy, prayer, date nights, self-help books, all of these are presented as solutions without anyone asking the prior question, is this marriage actually fixable? And if it isn't, is staying the right answer? The entire cultural framework assumes that the goal is always to stay. Nobody asks whether staying is always right. Thomas left at 46, not dramatically, not with a fight or a revelation or a single breaking point. Just a quiet Tuesday morning when he sat in his car in the driveway for 20 minutes before going inside and realized he had been doing that for years. Sitting in the car, delaying the moment of walking into his own home, he told Claire that night. She wasn't surprised. They both cried, not because they were losing something great, but because they were finally admitting what had been true for a long time. The divorce took 8 months. It was as civil as these things can be. They sold the house. They built a co-parenting arrangement around Emma and Daniel that both of them could live with. The first year alone was the hardest of his life. The second was the first year in 2 decades that he felt genuinely like himself. At 48, Thomas sleeps well for the first time in years.
His anxiety is largely gone. He has started running again, something he loved at 22, and gave up somewhere in the middle of a marriage that had no room for the person he used to be. He doesn't regret his children, not for a single moment. He regrets that he let other people's voices drown out his own for 20 years. He regrets that nobody, not one person, ever said, "It's okay to leave. Your life matters too." The advice Thomas followed was not malicious.
The people who gave it believed it. But belief doesn't make something true. And the most dangerous advice is the kind that sounds like wisdom while slowly taking everything from you. Were you given the same advice? Did someone tell you to stay when every part of you said otherwise? Tell us in the comments, because you're not alone. And your voice matters more than anyone else's rules. Subscribe, because the truth doesn't advertise itself.